5. Tim, can we get a countdown, please?
Metro Board activities for July 27th, 2023. We'll start the day with our Chief Safety Officer presenting our safety contact. Ms. Impastato.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome to Metro headquarters. In the event of an alarm activation, we'll exit this conference room via the glass doors and proceed into the lobby where we'll await further instructions from the security team. If we are instructed to exit the building, I'll lead the group to our designated assembly point at the adjacent Hancock Park, and the security team will coordinate with first responders. There's an AED located at the entry desk, and in the event of an emergency, I'll retrieve the AED and render aid while the security team contacts first responders. Lastly, restrooms are located in the vestibule area adjacent to this conference room. Many people rely on Metro to get where they need to go, regardless of the weather, which is why we do everything possible to provide safe and reliable transit service during extreme weather. During periods of severe heat, Metro may slow rail service for safety reasons. While we work to keep the system safe, please take proper precautions during this extreme heat and protect yourself from heat-related illness. This includes dressing appropriately for heat by wearing light fabrics and layers and protecting your skin against the sun with sunblock. Be sure to hydrate adequately and use caution with surfaces exposed to the sun, as they may be hot. Always report any unsafe conditions to a Metro employee. Subscribe to Metro alerts to receive email or text messages notifying you of service disruptions, and follow Metro on Twitter. For more information about protecting yourself and others from heat-related illness, visit cdc.gov. This concludes our safety contact.
Thank you, Ms. Impastato. Since this is our first meeting of the day, I'll ask the Board Corporate Secretary to call the roll. Ms. Ellison.
Thank you. Chair Drummer.
Present.
Vice Chair Martin Proctor. Good morning. Mr. Aguirre for Mr. Smedberg.
Present.
Dr. Lowe. Present. Mr. McAndrew.
Present.
Ms. Rye for Ms. Klein. Present. Mr. Alcorn for Mr. Letourneau.
Here.
Ms. Worth. Present. Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Ellison, and welcome to the Safety and Operations Committee. Our first order of business is to approve the agenda. Are there any objections by members of the committee? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Next, we have approval of our minutes of our June 22nd meeting. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the minutes are approved as well. We have two updates on the agenda today, very informative updates, by the way. The first is a review of several ongoing projects inside of the Better Bus Initiative. And the second is a mid-calendar year review of our ongoing safety management system implementation. At this time, I'll ask our bus initiative team, Better Bus Initiative team, to come forward and start their presentation.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair Drummer, General Manager Clark, and board members. My name is Jeff Hyatt. I'm Senior Vice President, Bus Transformation here at WMATA. So it's my pleasure to be here and be able to kick off the presentation, giving you a little bit of an update of some of the activities that we've had in our Better Bus Initiative. So you'll get to hear some of the more recent accomplishments and then also a look ahead. So as many of you probably are very aware, the Better Bus Initiative is a litany of projects and initiatives that are underway to improve bus service in our region, and we are working. A lot of these projects are with our jurisdictional partners. So it's a really exciting opportunity to enhance our bus service for our customers in this region. So today, you'll get an update on our zero-emission vehicles. You'll hear several projects that enhance our customer experience, some projects that improve bus priority, and a little bit of a review and update on our bus network redesign. Our strategic transformation plan is a plan that certainly is our North Star and guides us. All of the initiatives in the Better Bus Initiative program point to all the goals in that strategic transformation plan, and we use that to help guide us as we continue to create new experiences and new projects, and for our bus mode. With that, I'll start just giving you a little update on Zero Emission Bus. Really excited and to announce, and I'm not really the first announcer, but happy to say that we have received a $104 million grant from FTA in their One No program. I think maybe we came into the building. This mic is.
Yeah, maybe a different mic.
All right. We're excited to receive that grant from FTA. It's a great program that FTA has for our industry, and this will really help Metro in starting to really push our transition plan forward to achieve zero emission in our transit fleet. We have our first 60-foot battery electric bus on property. It was delivered June 19th, and if you came in the last 20 or 30 minutes, you probably already saw it out front. So we're really excited to have an opportunity after today's board meeting for you to go out there and take a look and see what the bus is like inside. You'll get to see some other amenities that you'll hear about too as well. So, please take the time to take a look at it. If I may just give some big kudos to our team under Leroy and the team under Tom and Allison for getting this bus here, especially today. It is truly a team effort, and we're really pleased to have this on site and have a chance to show it off, and we're more excited to get it into service. There are some. This bus is not completely ready to go in service. It still will continue to do some inspection and commissioning. We will also be using it to test and commission our chargers at Shepherd Parkway, which is where our first 12 electric buses will be parked and operate out of that garage. So we will be testing that out, and we will have this bus in service sometime this fall. The Shepherd Parkway garage has 2 chargers, pantograph charging, which is overhead charging. So those will be commissioned and ready to go with this bus. We have 5 more chargers there that will complete the charging network to accommodate the additional buses that we will have delivery in the next fiscal year. And then many of you know that construction Northern is well underway. If you happen to drive up 14th Street, you'll see a lot of dirt in the hole. So we're excited to get that garage. It's a challenge, but getting an all-electric garage, and there's a lot of stuff that our agency is leading the way to really help with the design elements for an electric to be able to operate electric buses. So we're very excited to continue working on that garage. And then, of course, Bladensburg is also well on the way with construction. So we will have another opportunity there for charging for our electric bus fleet that we will be receiving. I'm now going to pass it over to Leroy for more updates.
Thank you, Jeff. So good morning, Chair Drummer, board members, and Mr. Clark. Today I'll brief the board on a few initiatives that support 3 priorities of the Strategic Transformation Plan: service excellence, regional opportunity and partnerships, along with sustainability. We're going to work left to right from this slide. So when you look at the first photo to the far left, those are customer information screens, which you'll see on the new 60-foot bus that's out front, and we also have those already in service with over 20 buses. These new screens currently provide upcoming stops, weather forecasts, and also in the future, we're really looking forward to these screens being integrated into Metro's content management system to provide timely, unified communications, which is a priority for our digital team that's working really hard on doing that. Also, when you think about this from an equity perspective, our bus customers will now receive the same type of experience that a rail customer experiences when they have the opportunity to ride a 7K fleet. So we're really focused on leaning in on making sure that both modes customers have the same experience. When you look at the photo in the top middle of the screen, that is an e-paper sign. We have over 140 of those through our bus network. Also, we have 100 of those signs on hand that we're working to install over this fiscal year, and we have over 100 on order that we're also looking to deploy over this fiscal year as well as soon as possible. The lower right photo is of a 42-inch e-paper screen. That is a pilot that is currently underway at our Braddock Road Transit Station. That is at 5 of our bus stops. This screen is a 42-inch screen, as I mentioned. It is double-sided, providing real-time information, and the information is updated every minute. It provides bus departure information, route map, service alert, and this particular sign here is already integrated into our Metro Communications content management system, which provides timely, unified communications to our customers. The screens use very low power, so when you think about this from a sustainability standpoint, wrapping us back to the STP, it's in alignment with that. This screen can be hardwired or it can be powered by solar. And right now the team is, we're working to wrap up this pilot. It will conclude sometime in early September, and the team is currently working to figure out where we will deploy these signs next. The far right is a photo of customers at an event we had at Eastern Market, at our Eastern Market transit station. And we did that back in March, where we relaunched our open stroller policy. And that policy is really designed to offer a more accessible and convenient transit experience for everyone, to include some of our most vulnerable customers, those with small kids, as well as our ADA community. Customers in wheelchairs or mobility devices, seniors and disabled passengers still have priority for the designated priority seating areas. And we really have received a lot of positive feedback on this initiative when we relaunched this back in March. Moving to courtesy stops, we launched courtesy stops well over a month ago. This initiative was implemented to provide the customer the option to get off at a location at night where customers may feel a little safer. For example, a well-lit area versus a dark area. This also minimizes confrontations with customers and operators when it's safe to allow customers to exit. Based on my experience and some of the unfortunate incidents that I've seen with bus operator assaults, the operator really could have allowed the customer off at a safe location, but the operator was following the policy that we had back then, which said you couldn't do it, right? So not only do we feel that this is a customer experience improvement, but also really helps provide a better and safer working environment for our operators, which is very important. This only applies to customers exiting the bus on non-express and non-limited stops when the operator determines it's safe to conduct a courtesy stop. So far, this has been well received on social media, and we continue to reinforce the importance of this initiative to our bus operators. So when you think about what the transit industry is doing, and with this type of initiative, we did reach out to some of our peers, just to name a few, MTA in New York City Transit, SEPTA in Philadelphia, as well as LA Metro. So I'll say we may not have been the first, but I like to think we're not the last. But I like to say that we are following industry best practice with this initiative. So really good feedback from our customers on this. The next initiative that I'll talk briefly about is the train approach indicator light. Last week, we completed a soft launch of this initiative at Greenbelt at the C2 bus stop. So this light indicates to a bus operator that a train is approaching the platform and allows customers additional time to get to their connecting bus once they leave the platform. The whole light comes on approximately 1 minute of the train being in approach of the station and remains on for 4 minutes after the train reaches the platform. So from a customer experience perspective, we've got some really good feedback again on social media about this. I've been out several times, spoken to some customers, spoken to operators, and we just really feel like this is going to be a game changer as we really roll this out once Greenbelt reopens. We are also working with Maryland Transit Authority because they run bus service out of this location as well. So we're really looking forward to working with them to get this going for all bus customers, not just WMATA bus customers, right? Because a bus customer is a bus customer, and we're really leaning in on that. So this is another great example of regional partnership and really working with our colleagues throughout the region. Next slide. So bus stop amenities, we've really been leaning on this over the past year. I know myself and the general manager, we've had a lot of conversations about this, and we have a robust team that's working on bus stop amenities to improve the customer's experience with the focus on seating, shelter, and customer information. So I'll talk about these two photos, separate photos obviously, but they tie in together. The photo to the left represents the stop at 17th and K Street Northwest in Washington, D.C., which is serviced, which the 42 route services this stop. We have a lot of customers that use that service, right? So we received some feedback from a customer that said, hey, we need a little bit more information here, possibly other amenities such as seating. So we deployed a team immediately to really dig into this and really see was there an opportunity to really get a quick win and but also providing a better experience for the customers. So we did that, and the team realized, hey, we can put an e-paper sign here, and that e-paper sign was installed as a result of the customer feedback. So I just wanted to point that out because I want to say that the team really works hard to look at every complaint to see if there's really an opportunity for us to improve and provide that customer experience. So that photo, like I said, is a direct reflection of a customer telling us something and us really listening and really trying to figure out how can we lean in and try to improve. The photo to the right is a seating solution. It's not a remodel stop, but we wanted to put this in just so you kind of can see what I'm talking about. This seating solution can easily be affixed to sidewalks or possibly our bus stop. All right. We're working with Wendy Sanford from actually Q-Bus in the city of Fairfax, who just awarded a rideable contract to a vendor to install a similar seating solution that's in the photo to the far right. So when you think about both of these photos together, right, the customer that's standing at the bus stop, she's probably had a long day. She's leaning up against the bus stop pole because she doesn't have any seating. So imagine a seat bed there. She has a bag. It probably would help her with from a customer experience perspective, right? So going back to the contract that Q just awarded, our procurement office is currently working to ride this contract that the city of Fairfax used for this procurement. Tying it back to our strategic transformation plan, we really saw this as opportunity, regional partnership. We met with the local leaders in early January with Mr. Clark, and this was one of the things that we talked about, bus stop seating, and is there a way for us to partner? So I'd like to say that I think we're close to having a win on this as well. We have been working with DC's Department of Transportation to identify locations in all 8 wards where they'd like us to consider installing these seats. We really need to get approval from DDOT to install some of these seats because we don't own the right of way, right? And we're also working, we're planning to work with all of our regional partners in Maryland and Virginia to also deploy these in areas where there's opportunities to do so. We can't put them at every stop because there's guidelines that must be followed based on closeness to the road and things like that, and current infrastructure in place. So where the opportunity presents itself, we look forward to doing that. And actually, I believe Jewel Bell, she's kind of leading that effort from a bus transportation perspective and working with our regional partners on that. So really happy to report that. And we're really focused on putting these seats in areas with a focus on equity and accessibility in mind. Real-time information, another hot topic over the past year. In mid-December, I believe it was December 16th of 2022, we informed our customers that the customer information system was updated to only show real-time data and not scheduled data. This update eliminated the term ghost buses, right? So that really improved our customers' experience. And in addition, we updated how we communicated crowding on buses by adding icons, which you can see on the slide to the far right, that indicates, so when you see one icon or no icon, pretty much low ridership, 2 icons, moderate, 3 icons, hey, it's crowded. So a customer knows and they can plan their trip a little better with that consideration in mind. Another three important topics: safety, security, and engagement. Just to ground us all of our buses have video surveillance, all right, which supports live stream video. Why is that important? This capability really allows us to better manage service in real time. It allows us to respond to incidents, and it also allows us to investigate customer concerns in real time. But from an emergency response perspective, having that camera, that live stream video really allows us the opportunity to figure out how best to support the operator and the customers depending on the situation that we're dealing with. The next piece I want to talk a little bit about is the increased police visibility on our buses. Since September of last year through April of this year, transit police have made over 5,700 contacts with our bus operators somewhere on the route or either at the division during transit office hours. In addition, since April of this year, transit has also rolled over 160 buses to really show that robust visibility on our buses. I know we talked a lot about transit police and staff augmentation that Chief has put in place at our rail stations, but it's also happening on our buses as well. So I really appreciate Chief's support on making sure that both modes have that visibility. So from an employee engagement perspective, one of the things that we've done in the past, we've rolled buses as leaders, right? But I don't think we've really done a good job of documenting those rides, right? So since December, I asked the team really to lean in and say, hey, document every ride when you're out there, whether it's myself, to the frontline supervisor, the bus division leadership, and we've documented over 2,000 rides. I know the slide says 1,800, but I received some new updates yesterday evening, and since December, we've made over 2,000 rides and made over 2,000 contacts with our team members in their work environment, right? So like that's really, really important. This is more of a proactive effort about meeting the operator where they are, really just to see how they're doing in their ride. It's not to catch them doing something wrong. We'll make sure they're following SOP because we have another program in place for that, right? But it's really just engaging with the operator, seeing how we can better support them. And after every ride, we reach out to the operator with an email thanking them for taking us on their journey and just complimenting them on things that we observed them doing right. And also following up with things that they may have said, hey, we really need your support on X, and we provide them the feedback, whether it's immediate or we'll follow back up with them. So really excited about that. The photo to the left of this screen is a photo of the monthly youth council meeting that transit police conducts with high school students to really engage with our officers. This engagement really allows for students to be heard, and it really allows for officers the opportunity to respond to concerns raised by the students, and also gives the officers the opportunity to pass along some life skills to the students, which we all know is very important. Also, I just wanted to note that Transit Police is engaged with the Safe Passage program. That program is a program where Metropolitan Police Department, DC Department of Transportation, and Metro Transit Police meet to discuss safety concerns, figure out where they want to deploy assistance as needed, and also they share strategies for improving safety. As we also plan from a bus leadership perspective to engage this program through Transit Police as we transition into next school year. Lastly, the photo to the far right, really excited about this. It's a social media post on Instagram by Allensdale Middle School, thanking Amada for assigning the Cherry Blossom bus to the route that provided school trips this past spring. I really wanted to highlight this photo because this is another example of regional partnership and authentically engaging with our customers. And we've really shifted and taken a more proactive approach towards building a relationship with the schools and who really just depend on us to provide them great bus service. We had a really good meeting with leaders from Jackson Reed High School, Allensdale Middle School over at Allensdale earlier this year, where we talked to them a little bit about our service and they shared some concerns. So as a follow-up to that meeting, Allensdale Principal Deidre Neal said, hey, you know what, Leroy, we'd like you all to come back over to do a listening session with the students. So leadership from bus went over, had a really engaging conversation with the students. The team was really impressed with the type of questions the students were asking leadership and how much, quite frankly, they knew about our service. So that was really cool. We're really looking forward to expanding these type of discussions with other schools in the region because we really feel that one is the right thing to do, and we have really seen an improvement with the communication with Allensdale Middle School and the leadership over there, as well as the worker relationship. I've had multiple in-person discussions and phone conversations with Principal Deidre Neal from Allensdale, and I have to just say that she's been a great partner, a great person to partner with through this process. And lastly, on August 25th, bus leadership will attend Allensdale Middle School's new student orientation to talk a little bit about our bus service and expectation of the students while riding our bus. So thank you, and I'll turn it over to my colleague, Allison Davis.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board, and Mr. Clark. I'm thrilled to be here to talk to you about bus priority, some of the updates on bus priority, and then also some of the updates on the network redesign. So on the bus that's outside, we have started updating and installing all new fare boxes across all the buses. It's a state of good repair effort. These fare boxes that we have out there are about 20 years old, so it improves customer service. It provides higher uptime for those fare boxes, but most importantly, from a bus priority perspective, it allows us to add rear door targets and move forward on all door boarding. So this is something that Metro has wanted to do for years, but we needed the new fare boxes to be able to do that. And it's something that we, from a bus priority perspective, can wholly own. We don't need to necessarily partner with owners of the streets, owners of the bus stops. We can move forward ourselves. So the whole point of all door boarding is, 2 doors are better than 1. So getting people on board faster, that reduces dwell time. And then that obviously improves customer travel time. So we are starting with an initial deployment on about 450 buses. Announcements will be coming on which route, because there are operational considerations. We want to make sure there's consistent customer communications. If, we say that on the 3236 that we're launching all door boarding, we need to make sure that all buses that are then operating on there have those rear door targets that are up and running. So that is something that is coming in the coming months. Following up on the presentation that we provided back in April, and I'm hopeful many of you saw the announcement that on Monday, the District of Columbia has started doing warnings for cars that are parked or traveling through our red bus lanes. So thank you for that partnership with the district. We've got about 140 Metro buses equipped. It will cover all 31 routes where they travel on red bus lanes. And the thing that's even more exciting is that we're also able to enforce at 1,400 bus stops across the district. So that is something that is very new, and we'll be monitoring that as it moves along. So in the fall, we will move from warning to actual ticketing, and that will be led by the District of Columbia. Talking about the network redesign, thank you for all of your help in getting the word out in the spring. We wrapped up engagement last month for our phase 2 that really looked at the draft visionary network, setting that North Star for where we think connections need to go, level of frequency, span of service, all of that. And that we had, it far surpassed the comments and the engagement that we had anticipated. We had some pretty aggressive goals. I think you may remember we had goals of doing 50 events over 50 days. We ended up with over 60 events, also over 60 days. But those interactions that we had, if you put that in terms of daily bus ridership, it was over 5% of daily bus ridership as to how you think about those 20,000 interactions. And about 20% of them were in non-English languages. And so again, that kind of really highlights that we're able to and we really strove to engage robust customers and people where they are. We received over 7,800 comments. I think it's actually, they're still coming in, and we're up to about 8,000 comments. We are reading every single one of them. So it takes some time, but we are really want to hear from customers. We're also very conscious that it's human nature. People are more motivated to provide negative comments than they are to provide positive comments. So we want to make sure that we are really thinking through what those comments are and what the asks are. So what that means is where we are for coming back to you and coming back to the public. We are refining that visionary network based on all that input, really drilling into that data that we have that builds up that network. And so being able to adjust, should it be on this street or that street? Should we, extend the service based on comments that we had? When it would operate, how much frequency we were proposing, and so on. So from that visionary network, we'll be able to bring it down to what a draft year one network would be, and that would be within available resources. From available resources, that is operators, that is buses, that is actually funding as well. And with that, then returning to you and the public and elected officials early in calendar year 24 is our current estimated time. So with that, I'm going to wrap up and just kind of highlight those next steps for where we are going with Better Bus. I think you've heard a lot of things that we've launched over the past 6, 9, 12 months. But in the near term, coming up in the next couple of months, the district will begin actually ticketing on Clear. In terms of travel time and reliability, we'll continue to install those fare boxes and roll out all the recording. So more announcements will be coming about that. Piloting the new seating at stops that Leroy was talking about, and then of course continuing to work on the network redesign. So with that, look forward to discussion and questions. Thank you.
Thank you to Jeff, Leroy, and Allison. Thank you very much for an excellent update. This is an exciting time with this bus initiative. Very proud of the work that's being done right now. I have one set of observations and a couple of questions I'd like to address. Then I'll turn it over to our committee members for questions and comments, and then other members of the board. The first comment is, I most appreciate your comprehensive approach in this Better Bus initiative. It's easy for this to become a target for folks to think that nothing's going to happen. But what I've seen is your systemic, structured approach is working, and it's working well because of your planning and your execution. Particularly impressed with how you identify challenges and issues and how you look for ways at the lowest cost level to resolve those and deliver solutions. Also love the way you all communicate the impact of your talented teams. In your marketing effort through social media and otherwise, it's outstanding. And that's great because the bus team really held us together during COVID, and you did a great job of it. So we thank you for that. And your community engagement, I happened to go to one of the events with a couple of other board members, and I was amazed at how you engaged and received feedback and how you're processing that feedback for use in developing, solutions ahead. So thank you for that. One question, and this first one goes to Jeff. Are you leveraging lessons learned from our regional partners who have tested electric buses in the system?
That's a great question, Chair. We are absolutely utilizing lessons learned from not only our partners in this region who are implementing these new technology and these new zero emission buses, but more importantly, we are utilizing lessons learned from the industry at large. And this is still a new technology that the industry as a whole is working to improve and serve our communities better. And as we scale up, not only here at WMATA, and we look at how others have done it, so that we cannot go through some of the same challenges that others have gone through in their transition. So that's one of the great things about our industry is the amount of information that we can share with each other. We also look forward to sharing a lot of our lessons learned with our partners here in our region and more broadly too.
Okay, thank you. The next question is for Leroy. You mentioned the MTPD Youth Advisory Council. I think that's outstanding. I happen to go to one of those forums as well. Those folks really provide outstanding input. You might not have it available, but do you have an example of some input they've shared that's been beneficial so far?
About that. Thanks, Jeff. Don't have that handy, but I definitely will follow up with Chief and the team to get some clear examples.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
So one comment.
I think it's important to, I mean, Jeff, relatively, I think, is this your first board presentation, Jeff? I thought. So one thing that I want to add over Jeff Papa, with the exception chair, Jeff worked at APTA for a fair amount of years, and he led the bus industry standards for the country and the entire zero emission bus transition for the country, and being that kind of liaison between all the agencies, the FTA, and the manufacturers. So Jeff is really has a large years of resources understanding of this topic, and I think that's part of this is his role is to coordinate between Leroy and Ray, who's our chief mechanical officer on the bus side, but also under Tom's team and Allison, which is the kind of the planning and the environmental side, let alone the infrastructure side. So I just wanted to bring that up because I think it was Jeff's first time here. So we are doing an enormous amount of interacting with our peers, both large or small, and the manufacturers, to definitely not make mistakes that people have made and make as cost efficient as possible the zero emission transition. So just wanted to highlight that.
Thank you, Randy. Ms. Martin Proctor?
Good morning, team. Thank you so much for this presentation. I truly appreciate it. I just had a few comments just to highlight. Thank you so much for making sure that the inclusion was multilingual, especially here in the District of Columbia, with various languages and cultures being present. I appreciate that mostly. I want to also thank you for the DCPS connection. As a proud DCPS graduate and a former charter bus user, yes, please keep making those connections with the schools, with the PTAs, with the PTOs. We appreciate their feedback, and we want them to know that we are here to make sure that the students and anybody that's riding our system gets there safely and feel heard. I appreciate that taking place. The all-door bus, that is going to be a game changer in so many ways, not just with regards to getting more people on and off in a more timely fashion, but it is an ADA lift as well. It's going to help so many individuals that have possible mobility issues to not have to run to different areas of the bus to try and get on. So I want to say thank you for that. I'm looking forward to seeing that in practice and process throughout the new system. I do have two questions. The first one being, I think you called them rides or ride-alongs that you guys were doing. Did that also include what I like to call our wellness ambassadors? Do they partake in those rides as well, or is it just individuals with the operation side?
Right now, it's more the operation side, but we are engaged with the transit police team to make sure that we're in close connection with them, but they don't necessarily ride along with the management team. We also are partnering with the union. Sometimes the union goes out, but with us or on their own. So it's kind of a joint effort with the union as well.
Okay, great. My second question, with regards to the new e-paper product that is taking place, which I guess look like little touchpads, the audio component, is that being initiated as well?
The audio component, I will have to follow up with you on that one.
Okay,
Yeah.
because we definitely need to make sure that there is some version of an audio component.
That's where you press the button and it reads it to you?
Correct.
Yeah.
For those of me and myself and other families that are living with low vision and are blind here in the District of Columbia. So I know I know all of these things are on the list, and technology can be tricky.
Yes.
But I want everybody in the community to know that we are aware, and we'll make sure that this product, because it's going to be amazing, is also accessible.
Understood.
Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McAndrew?
I'll continue in the thanks. You know, it's easy to get into the cellar and say bad things, but thank you for the good work that you guys are doing here. Keep it up. I think, you know, in my many years of observing WMATA, it's not every day that we talk about the bus at the board, and we continue to talk about the bus at the board and prioritize the bus. And I think it's important to recognize what it did during the pandemic, but it's the workhorse of the system. It's in the near term the best way that we can continue to enhance and improve access and connectivity for the region. So keep it up. I've just got two quick questions. One, you know, or statements, questions. Love to help in Maryland on the bus shelter conversation. So let us know. Love to hear how those conversations are going. And then second, you know, in light of today's the heat that we're going to have through the weekend, are we looking at considering any type of shade solutions at our bus stops? Because many of them sit, on or adjacent to a roadway that we've cleared trees for mobility purposes. So, that's a challenge also, as well as folks sit there and wait for the bus.
So I would just say, at this time, no. But that's one of the reasons why we're really looking at, we really provide bus shelters throughout the region. But at this time, no, we do have some cooling buses throughout the region that have been requested. But at this time, no, we're not looking at shade options today at our bus stops.
If we can, it'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, if I may add on to that, I think this is an opportunity for us to continue working with our partners in the region to develop guidelines and how we at different stops and shelters and providing amenities that if someone were at a metro bus stop gets the same comfort they get at others, and coming up with guidelines of that allow us to, stops that serve a few people get a sign, and others, so that we can provide the right amenities to benefit all of our customers. But we want to do it consistently, so it's not just what you see here in the district, and then you go over into PG County, then you don't get anything again. So this is an ongoing effort, and as Leroy mentioned, he is working and chairing this group with all of our partners, and that will be one of the activities in there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Lowe?
This presentation is totally awesome. And I really can't say enough about how excited I am about all of these updates, many of which are frankly long overdue. I love the sense of agility and urgency that I am feeling from your teams right now about getting these things done. To Mr. McAndrew's point, don't let perfect be the enemy of good or scope creep stop you from doing things that we have known that we need to do for years in order to improve the customer experience and to improve safety and reliability. Let's get some seating up in and add shade later, whatever we need to do. I'm particularly excited about outdoor boarding, which when I asked the Council of the District of Columbia to appoint me to this seat, I said was one of my top priorities, because it's something that WMATA does have full control over, and that we know other systems have achieved better headway adherence and have reduced dwell time by up to 30% by adopting. So this is just something that makes sense to do and that we know works. I'm thrilled that we're moving forward, and don't let anything get in your way. I have a couple questions. First, regarding coordinating with DCPS. It's great to, as an alumni of Alice Deal and Jackson Reed, I'm thrilled to hear that you're talking to the leadership there. When I went to Deal, and Wilson as we called it at the time, there was a lot of communication between WMATA and the leadership of those schools. There was a lot of communication with the kids. Expectations were extremely clear about what we were supposed to be doing when we were inside the system, as we exited the system, and when we went to school. The assistant principals were walking us around and really keeping an eye on us. And that's what we need to get back to. I don't know if that stopped during COVID or when that stopped, but I'm really glad to hear that we're getting back to that. When you go up to the school in the fall, take a bunch of those plastic Smart Trip card holders. WMATA must have 1 billion of these sitting in a box somewhere at headquarters based on what I've seen. Take a bunch with you. Take some of the clippy stretch things. Glue those Smart Trip cards onto those kids' backpacks. And just let them know the expectation that they tap every time. We are never going to get there unless we talk to each other and state out loud what the expectations are. So it's really good that you're doing that with DCPS. It's great that labor and management are doing that when they're riding along on the bus. Whatever the situation is, these open lines of communication are so good, and I'd love to hear about it. The year one network. What do you think the timeline might be for when we're at that phase?
Can you clarify? Do you mean to be out in the public talking about it, or like implementing it?
I mean, when are we gonna see a draft and start collecting feedback on that?
Yes, so as mentioned, that is early, we are anticipating early calendar year 24.
Okay, January, February.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not trying to like,
Yeah, no,
Q1.
yes, Q1 is good, yes. I mean, we are, like I said, we've gotten almost 8,000 comments, and that is on the Visionary Network, so we need to refine that and then draw the year one network. We also have a lot of parallel. We want to make sure that when we talk to you, DOT leadership, our other providers in the region, no one is surprised by the time it gets to the public. So there's a lot of work that happens between now and getting it back to the public.
Okay, I still think a lot of people are gonna be surprised, no matter what we do. So I think that the key here is we should not just rely on Ramada's internal communications capacity in order to try to get the word out about stuff. We need to have a lot of partners in getting the word out. This applies to all door boarding as well, but like, of course, the most important thing will be like signage at the roots that we're actually doing this. But we need like our ANC commissioner friends, we need our local elected officials on whatever jurisdiction is touched by these. Like, we need everyone helping us message this. I'm still not, I've suggested this a couple times, I'm still not seeing little comms packets go out to local elected officials and CBOs with just like, here's a graphic to share, here are the talking points, like, please mention this 10 times. Like, we need these little packets for these types of things so that we can get everyone working with us to get the word out. We can't just tweet it. I mean, it's great to do that, but it's just not enough.
Exit now. There's no more Twitter.
Hey, you know, if I just make a comment on that one? Yeah, so board member, I think the team understands your point loud and clear. I just want to give context. I mean, the staff does a lot more than tweeting. And I think, I want to make that crystal clear. The team is working incredibly hard. That's not to suggest we can't continue to improve our comms packages and collaboration with partners. And Sarah is actually in the process of hiring a head of community engagement that will be really focused on that versus just government relations side. Because the part of this is just, we've been running pretty hard for a year, and there's a lot of stuff we're still working on. But we also do share an enormous amount of information, and we can't control how the partners use it or won't use it. And we have some partners we ask over and over, and it doesn't actually move. We have other partners that proactively have asked, and they share and they collaborate. They're not all monolithic. So I just wanted to, I'm not trying to defend staff, but we do a lot more than tweeting, and the staff's going to keep working on it. What we could use the board's help on is as we engage partners, especially partners that maybe, this is the partner that maybe isn't being collaborative by nature. They're also busy with a lot of things, and we're just another topic. That right board member helping lean in on that relationship sometimes and making sure they understand from another point of view how important this information sharing is.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's why I've suggested, like, on specific topics in the past, I've been like, just make an Instagram size square with like these 3 pieces of information so that I can ask the following accounts to share it. Like, that is something that we can do. We just need some basic tools in order to do that, and so I'm thrilled to hear that the customer experience team is going to be thinking about how to get capacity behind this, because I'm well aware that everyone at Ramada works insanely hard based on the fact that people are replying to my emails on the weekends, which is bad. So I very much appreciate how hard everyone works, but we need to work smarter, not just harder.
Thank you. So we'll go to Mr. Gary and then Ms. Rye. Mr. Gary?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First
You're on mute. You're on mute.
Can you not hear me?
No, we can't hear you.
I'm off mute. It was working earlier.
IT, can we work on that, please?
Okay, we'll go to Ms. Ryan, then we'll come back to you.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to thank you so much for the presentation and really to applaud the community engagement efforts, specifically around the Youth Advisory Council. I had the opportunity to attend a meeting a couple of months back, and I really appreciated the proactive engagement between youth and law enforcement and fostering those positive interactions. And I just really feel like it's also an innovative way to strengthen the workforce pipeline with young people who represent diverse lived experience. We have a workforce shortage across industry, across the country. And I think we have to get smart about how we attract young people to careers in transportation. And I think that's a really smart way to do it. There's Chick-fil-A there, and there's folks from the community talking about their leadership journey, giving them a chance to talk about the questions that they have about the system and about careers. So I just wanted to applaud the team, encourage all board members to attend if you get the chance, and I look forward to participating in the future.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan. Mr. Gary, we'll try again.
I'm off mute. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay. I too also wanted to echo some of the comments around the community engagement, especially around some of the multilingual usage. I was at Southern Towers in Alexandria, and I'm sure that's where a lot of that occurred because we have multiple languages that are spoken there. And of course, Ramada South and with the outreach had folks that spoke those multiple languages. So really appreciative of that, and I think it's good steps forward. Going back to the bus shelters, don't need an answer right now, but if we could get a small, rough breakdown of what some improvements would look like, from a full bus shelter to just some seats to just the paper screens that you guys are putting up. If we could just get a small breakdown of some of those costs. And lastly, the other thing related to the bus shelters, really like to hear that there's an equity emphasis around that. So I was curious if there's some type of rubric that we're creating to be able to put some of these amenities in place, looking at it through an equity lens. Is it large ridership? Is it in an equity emphasis area? How are we deciding where to put some of these items?
So I think you just pretty much covered them all. And when we do this, we'll be working with our chief diversity officer to make sure that everything passes the smell test. Obviously, I talked a little bit about earlier working with DDOT, and that was one of the things that they really leaned in on. Hey, we just don't want it in a couple of wards. We have to make sure that we're being fair throughout the city and those that actually need it most. So in terms of a rubric, we don't have that developed just yet, but we will make sure that we're factoring in the things that you mentioned, for sure.
Gotcha, yeah, because sometimes it's just good to be able to fall back on something, because if the community comes to us and it's like, well, why did you put this here instead of there? We need to be able to respond to some of those things, right? So appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Worth?
Excellent presentation. I can't tell you how excited I am. I'm a daily bus rider, and it is so wonderful to see buses rising to the top. This is the year of the bus. We celebrated 50 years of Metro Bus earlier this year, and the energy just continues with all of these initiatives that you're taking on, the customer experience, the outreach, the infrastructure improvements. It's truly wonderful. 2 points I want to bring out. One, just to emphasize the point about the shade, I think that if there's opportunities to work with the sustainability team, even if it's at metro stations or other regions, that's something we definitely would want to support as a customer amenity. We know that we're experiencing extreme weather, and that will likely continue. So that would also be a wonderful improvement. And then the second one is that in the past week, I've taken 2 buses that have the new fare boxes. I think both of them were 54s, northbound and southbound. And my first time, I was surprised, even though I was there at the event, the kickoff. I think there was a tour of a bus for the Better Bus Network kickoff meeting, and I got on it. But I was surprised when I got on because the you tap in a different place. And I noticed that there was someone who got on the bus and they put in their smart trip where the cash goes. And so the operator had to pull over and help the person get that smart trip out. So I was just wondering if there's any education that's going on with the new system, and if there's not, just an opportunity to educate riders maybe through a video or whatnot, just so that folks are familiar with the new fare boxes and the targets.
Yep. So, Allison, I'll start if you wanted to chime in on that. Thank you for that feedback, and we'll definitely take that back to the team to see what opportunities exist to try to roll out some type of communication campaign with the customers for sure. But Allison, did you have any feedback on that?
Yes, when we move to outdoor boarding, we will absolutely be doing even more, because it will be, when should customers expect to see it, what routes will be happening, how to actually use it, and that sort of thing. And I think it really gets to, if you roll up to, if the bus rolls up to a high ridership stop, 5, 6, 7 people are waiting, those smart trip card users can go to the back door and board there, whereas maybe someone in a wheelchair, someone with a stroller is getting on through the front. So we will be providing additional information as we get closer to picking those routes and rolling it out.
Great, excellent, and wonderful job. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Alcorn?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Just want to go back to your question, the first one, which was about learning from other systems for electrification and what we're learning. I did want to give a shout out to Alexander's Dash system. They've been doing this now for a while, and frankly, I appreciate their role as kind of an electric guinea pig in our region, and certainly all the things they're learning about interoperability, operation on hills, range, which we all know, and although not today, cold, whenever the cold weather comes around. So I know, and I appreciate the general manager too, in terms of your experience, Jeff, and coming from APTA and working in that space. I guess my question is, how are things looking in terms of solving those problems? I mean, obviously, I want to get to zero emission as fast as we can, but what's your take professionally right now in overcoming those obstacles?
It is a good question, and we will get there, and we're learning day by day, and I think it's as we evolve and we'll continue to improve the technology, it continues to improve onboard energy, the amount we have the battery packs that are lower weight, which you can have more energy, which improves the range, so that we can solve the range issue. That's improving. Interoperability. I mean, there are challenges. We recognize it just with the first bus that we come in, chargers communicating, with buses. So it is getting there. I think we are benefiting. From a modest standpoint, it's always great to be first, and but sometimes it's also nice to kind of be on the a little bit behind, so you can learn from others. And even as we start to implement it, and you'll see, it's a slow rollout in our phase 1. We have these first 2 buses coming in, we get 10 more next year. And that is a very smart way, in my opinion, to approach this as well, because we can learn a lot, as we start putting these into service, so that when we start getting the larger procurements in, that we will be very well prepared, across the entire organization on how to operate these buses, how to maintain these buses and the chargers, manage all the energy that's needed, and everything else. So there's going to take some time to overcome a lot of challenges that we see out there, and we'll continue working and making sure we're on top of it.
Thank you to Jeff, Leroy, and Allison. Again, thank you for an excellent presentation. You drew a lot of attention today. Thanks. And we'll transition to our safety management system update.
Chair, if I may just quickly remind you again, and you'll get more, come see the bus out there. We will have a staff to answer questions. Our Director of Zero Emission, Amy Mesrobian, will be out there. She can talk about the transition plan if you have questions. So we're excited. It's great that you're all excited about bus. I'm extremely excited about bus as well.
Super. Thanks again. Ms. Impastato, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, board members, for not stampeding out of here to appreciate the bus. But I do like to echo my colleagues' sentiments. It's a very exciting time to see what we're doing with bus. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm pleased to present to the board the progress that Metro's made to date implementing our safety management system. Our safety management system is a key component of the overall strategic transformation plan, supporting all 4 goals with outside input into the service excellence and talented teams goals. The status of each of the pillars of our SMS will be reviewed at the mid-year point, and we'll also review the path forward. To begin this review, I'd like to reiterate Metro's SMS strategy, which includes aligning the organization around our vision, mission, and the strategic and tactical steps we're taking to move our vision and mission from rhetoric to reality. In order for us to be successful in this endeavor, we have to be transparent in our efforts and continuously self-assess against our goals to ensure we're on target to achieving the results that we expect. This slide depicts the safety management system roadmap that Metro shared with the board in January, as well as updates to our progress made thus far, implementing the tactical action plans to support each strategic milestone. As we've continued through our implementation journey, we've also refined and expanded our 2024 and beyond plans to reflect our progress. Of note, all milestones from the 2021 and 2022 roadmap were fully completed, with the exception of the technology evaluation framework, which was carried over into 2023 and has been progressing through partnerships with operations, infrastructure, and our chief digital officer. Over the course of our 3-year SMS journey, we've oriented the organization around preparedness and commitment in year 1. We focused on building policies, dedicated resources, staffing and upskilling the safety team, providing awareness training, piloting processes, and establishing parity across all modes of the service, to include bus and metro access safety risk management. In year 2, we focused our efforts on laying the foundation and structural members of our SMS, applying the lessons learned in our pilot efforts to deploy system-wide tools and processes across operations and infrastructure, conducting assessments to identify strengths and opportunities, and building plans for the coming years. Now in year 3 of our journey, we're progressing to mature and collaborate across all of Metro. We've made substantial progress implementing the required actions to achieve our milestones in each of the 4 pillars. The remainder of this presentation will review those achievements. As we review each pillar, items with a check mark have achieved milestone completion status, and in progress items are denoted with stoplight criterion. Green targets are fully on target for the end of the year. Yellow depictions are delayed at mid-year, but anticipated to recover schedule and be complete by year end. Red items, none of which are noted red, would be at risk for completion by year end. We have no red items. With regard to safety policy, Metro began calendar year 2023 with the latest annual revision of our agency safety plan approved and taking effect. This plan is reviewed and revised on an annualized cycle, with the latest revision well underway. The 2024 draft is currently under review by Metro's Joint Labor Management Safety Committee, the Senior Executive Team, and our State Safety Oversight, the Washington Metro Rail Safety Commission. We've completed a courtesy review of the plan with the Federal Transit Administration's Technical Assistance Center. The agency safety plan will be brought to the board in fall for consideration and approval. Recognizing that SMS is an agency-wide systematic approach to managing safety, many of the strategic milestones that you'll see depicted throughout calendar year 2023 involve partnership and collaboration across Metro. For example, we've partnered with the human capital team to embed safety values and behaviors into our performance management and job description processes. Additionally, we've partnered with the information technology team to prepare systems to support SMS This will enable informed decision-making, advanced data analytics, and really drive our approach towards a data-driven organization. We've partnered with policy owners across the organization to align our policies with just culture principles. This is not limited solely to safety and operational policies. We're looking across the organization at phraseology, outcomes, and decision-making algorithms throughout our policies to ensure that they don't serve as a barrier towards the implementation of the positive safety culture that Metro wishes to instill across the organization. Lastly, we are partnering with operations and IT and infrastructure to advance our technology evaluation framework. The framework is drafted. We do have an IT governance board established to evaluate safety implications of emergent technology. We are piloting that framework over the course of this year with the implementation of our automated wayside inspection systems, which will use machine vision and additional technology to continue to monitor the status of Metro's rolling stock. We are on track to continue the pilot. It is depicted as yellow due to some installation delays across the system. We currently have 4 of 6 wayside installations completed. We're awaiting some parts for the remaining 2. We have expedited with the vendor the arrival of those parts, and we anticipate that we'll recover to schedule once received. Additionally, with regard to safety risk management, we've implemented improved workplace safety programs, and we have a plan to create additional enhanced programs, recognizing that our environment is not static. Issues such as climate change, which have prompted concerns with air quality or extreme heat, are being taken into account in expanding our workplace safety programs. We've also launched the expansion of our Joint Labor Management Safety Committee tasks to include not only review of the requirements under the bipartisan infrastructure law, but also to fit with an expanded role within the overall Metro SMS. Our Joint Labor Management Safety Committee will be actively engaged and involved throughout the network of Metro safety committees, and now has a distinct role in collaboration with Metro's Executive Safety Committee. We meet monthly with our Joint Labor Management Safety Committee to review any escalated concerns or issues and to ensure that our hazard risk management process is continuing to mature in its implementation. We've completed assessments of our safety rules and procedures, as well as our roadway worker protection protocols. Metro's safety rules and procedures were included in a document that was approximately 798 pages. We have subsequently thinned that document, restructured and re-indexed all of Metro's safety rules and procedures through a joint labor management process. It includes review by the Joint Labor Management Safety Committee, but we also set up focus groups with frontline employees who are directly affected and required to comply with Metro safety rules and procedures to ensure clarity, to ensure efficiency, and to account for any changes in environmental conditions since the last time that book was published. The Metro Operating Rulebook will be implemented on September the 1st. It is currently undergoing the printing process. We are on target to complete by the end of the year the development of our line operations safety audit strategy. This is in key collaboration and partnership with our operations and infrastructure teams to ensure the role of continuous supervisory oversight in executing Metro's safety critical tasks. We've also drafted a job hazard analysis program and are on target to launch a new interactive job hazard analysis program that will advance the processes that Metro already had in place to engage and involve our frontline workforce more in hazard risk management and assessment. We are also working to complete the safety risk management process rollout across all of operations and infrastructure. This required some additional work in restructuring and documentation as a result of Metro's realignment. But I'm pleased to report that yellow status will very quickly be turning green, as we've now built the full framework of the safety risk management process and anticipate no delays to recovering to schedule and completing baseline implementation across all operations and infrastructure. With regard to safety assurance, we have incorporated just culture principles into our investigations. We trained our safety investigations team in basic and advanced just culture principles. This is now changing how we conduct our investigations to allow us to better identify systemic root causes and environmental conditions, in addition to focusing more acutely on human factors and human errors so that we can prescribe more effective corrective actions. This is also encouraging more open dialogue among our employees who are participating in investigations. We're getting more information from our employees because they understand that decision-making in terms of ultimate consequence for an unintended outcome will not automatically result in punitive action. This is really important as we talk about the fourth pillar, our safety promotion pillar, in terms of the improvements that we're working to build our positive safety culture. We've also launched an integrated safety inspection system that fuses all of the data from numerous reporting streams into a singular system of record. This enables advanced analytics as well as trending and queryable opportunities for managers and asset owners to look at the performance of their assets with regard to safety inspections. On that note, we've also partnered with the quality team to align the data from our safety management system with our quality management system. This will enable us to better move towards process-based performance management and really ensure that all of the processes that Metro executes are executed in a reliable and reproducible manner. We are on target to complete the process overhaul of our employee safety reporting program. We received recommendations late last year from MITRE relative to opportunities to improve our process, to enhance transparency and traceability of concerns that employees have reported. I'm pleased to report that we've updated our systems through the help of our Chief Digital Officer's team, and now our employees are able to track and receive updates relative to concerns that they've raised through the Employee Safety Reporting Program. We still have some expansion work ahead of us over the remainder of the year to continue to mature those processes and advertise the enhancements so that folks can use the information from our employee safety reporting system more proactively. And lastly, we have trained thousands of our employees in the incident management framework. We have launched the incident management framework as of July the 10th, and we are continuing the implementation over the remainder of calendar year 2023. This will really accelerate as we move into the Metro Integrated Command and Communications Center, which will again turn that yellow into a vibrant shade of green and a check mark by year end. Lastly, with regard to safety promotion, we have implemented a safety committee improvement plan. Metro has created a more structured, uniform process for the deployment of our safety committees in alignment with the strategic transformation plan and the realignment. We've created and matured an escalation path for concerns and issues between and among safety committees, and we've enhanced not only the vertical integration, but the horizontal integration between committees through a structured formal process. We have expanded our interactive SMS dashboards. I demoed the dashboards at a prior board meeting. They're now expanded throughout all of operations and infrastructure. So employees and their management team can now query the dashboards to identify risks and track progress to implementing mitigations to address those risks. We can also visualize the data. and push that information out to employees through ongoing communications mechanisms. We are on target to complete the progress of implementing our engagement strategy based upon the feedback we received from our safety culture survey conducted last year. This engagement strategy includes work done by the Joint Labor Management Safety Committee to continue our outreach efforts with internal and external stakeholders relative to Metro's safety management system. And we are also on target to complete the development of SMS training for employees and management so that they understand not only the theoretical underpinnings and arrangement of an SMS, but what their specific role is in the SMS, as well as giving them information relative to Metro's ongoing commitments to create the safest workplace for employees. Moving forward, Metro will continue to apply our project management approach to SMS and will provide ongoing updates and detailed reports of our actions to the board. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to address any of the board's questions.
Thank you very much. One word, wow. I spent an entire career in structured safety management, and I will tell you, this is a model. This is a model to behold. So thank you for the work that you're doing. Randy, thank you for supporting this process comprehensively from the top, every level in the organization to the pointy end of the spear where things are being done every day. I think when this work is never done. I think we can agree with that. But one thing we can say is that this is a case study that folks ought to look at down the line. I would say press on, continue to do the work that you're doing, and you have our support in making things happen and delivering solutions. So at this time, I'll get some feedback from other members of the committee. Dr. Lowe.
Well, I simply want to second what the chair has already said. Your professionalism, your tenacity, your courage, the ambition of this SMS, the sophistication is to be commended. You're doing incredible work as a leader and as a manager, and it's obvious that your team is doing incredible work. The entire team at WMATA. I'm wowed. It's the depth and the substance, the breadth and the depth of what's here is really impressive. This is exactly what what needs to be doing on safety, and imbuing safety as a part of everything that's happening at WMATA. And I'm really struck to the extent to which what I see internally about what you're doing, how different that is from what seems like kind of like probably just simply like uninformed and kind of stale narratives, in the media or elsewhere about the state of safety at WMATA. This is serious stuff, and you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lowe. Ms. Martin Proctor.
Oh, also, I really like that cap closed icon. That was cute.
Oh, good afternoon, team. Thank you so, well, it's still morning, I think. Yes, it's still morning. Good morning, team. Thank you so much for the presentation. I just wanted to point out 3 things that I heard that I just made me so happy. Training. You're going to be offering training. I think that is always critical, and sometimes that gets glossed over when we're doing these types of in-depth processes within larger organizations and systems. Additionally, just cause principles. That's perfect. That allows individuals to feel really centered in the fact that I'm going to bring a problem and I'm not immediately going to get punished. So that means we're going to get more information and things that can get corrected easily. I think that's wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And the access. I know this doesn't get looked at a lot, and sometimes we kind of gloss over it, but the fact that you are going to do this in a printed book format as well is actually really critical. I know sometimes people think, oh, technology is going to solve all. It's in e-format, and that's what everybody should use. But some people do still also appreciate the print format. So the fact that you are willing to do that and put that out there in print format, it's critical. I appreciate that. I appreciate what your team is doing, and I definitely look forward to seeing the additional progress moving forward.
Thank you. Any other comments, input?
If I make a comment, I just want to follow up. Dr. Law, I so appreciate your comment. One, I always appreciate when board, and you do this universally, recognize the hard work of staff, and I think that's really appreciated. But the nexus that you were trying to talk about, which is the sophistication of this model and what we're doing. Teresa is showing incredible leadership, and there's so many other people in this organization that are advancing this. And I think it's really important that we are able to separate something may happen, and that doesn't mean we don't have a robust safety program and a safety culture. Safety culture is a totally overused word, usually used publicly by people that don't actually understand safety and don't understand system safety, as board member Drummer, obviously career-wise, has done a lot of. So I think that's incredibly important. We are never going to have perfect every day. Right, we move 800,000 people today, and we have 12,000 employees, and it's hard, and on and on and on and on. It's full of humans, and humans are variables that change by the day. Our job is to create a structure and system where employees think about safety as a core of how they operate and do their business, and have an openness and transparency of basically what we're trying to do. And then we treat our customers and employees with respect and continuously learn and improve. I will say, I used to be a chief safety officer. I've done safety audits around the world, throughout the United States. I will say the efforts Teresa, on behalf of the team, are leading is the most sophisticated safety process system anywhere in this industry, in this country. That's not to say a lot of our peers aren't doing good work as well, and we collaborate them, but it is astonishing how sophisticated we are trying to move this. And stuff doesn't change in a day or a month. If it did, it's not cultural. Cultural stuff takes weeks, months, years to execute and be proficient. And you take the best railroad, say, Japan. They had crisis after crisis before they actually fundamentally changed and became the best in the world. And so I know our journey is not going to end tomorrow, but I just so appreciate the board knowing those things and exhibiting that leadership, because having an incident one day does not mean Vermont is not safe. If you look at the National Transit Database, we arguably are, if not the safest, above peer on every safety category there is, and we are continuing to work to get better. So I think we all have to remain aligned around that those things are not the same. So I just really appreciate you pointing that out.
Randy, thank you for that added context. And Teresa, thank you for an excellent presentation again. Press on in that sense. So with no further business to come before the committee, we stand adjourned, and we're going to take a very brief break to allow attendees to enter the room before the board meeting. We'll be back in a moment.
morning. My name is Joe McAndrew, and I am the first vice chair of the WMATA board. And I am here today filling in for our fearless leader, Chairman Smedberg, who could not be here with us today. So thank you all for joining. Thank you all for bearing with us if there's any hiccups as we move expeditiously through this process. Since we already called the roll at the earlier committee meeting, we'll move right to the approval of the agenda. If there are no objections, I'd like to consider the agenda approved as presented with one addition to the chair's report. Appointments to the Metropolitan Transit Police Department Investigations Review Panel. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the agenda is approved as amended. We have 3 sets of minutes for approval. The board meeting from June 22nd and the executive sessions from June 22nd and July 13th. I'd like to consider these minutes approved as presented. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Thank you. Next up on today's agenda, we're going to highlight a few heroic efforts from our friends in the WMATA ranks. Today's Employee Spotlight recognizes employees for their heroism, service, and dedication to their jobs and to this region. We will do photos once we recognize all employees. First up, we need to recognize our rail car cleaners, Latasha Bostic, Jose Flores, and Thomas Adams. If you can please stand. On Thursday, July 13th at approximately 1:40 p.m., Ms. Bostic, Mr. Flores, and Mr. Adams were working on the New Carrollton station platform when they encountered a pregnant customer in labor on a train. They immediately sprang into action, alerting the rail supervisor, Mildred Wood, for assistance to notify emergency personnel. Rail Supervisor Wood was quoted as saying, "Their quick action to obtain towels and proper PPE is a true display of their genuine dedication. They provided constant encouragement and emotional support to the customer. As a result, today, the customer has delivered a healthy baby aboard one of WMATA's trains." Thank you. We'd also like to recognize today one of MTPD's finest for her recent honor of becoming MTPD's first female Ranger Master. Sergeant Celicia Belton, can you please stand? Sergeant Belton joined the ranks in 2001 and has held many positions within the department, including field training officer, patrol sergeant, field training sergeant, and detective sergeant. During her second opportunity as the training sergeant, she decided to perfect her skill at the range, noting her encouragement from then Range Master Fosenbaker. In 2002, she was given the opportunity to become the department's first female range master, and more recently this month, Sergeant Belton became the first female pistol armorer for the department. She credits her success to hard work, dedication, and encouragement to follow her dreams. Please join me in congratulating Sergeant Belton on this great honor. Yep. Now I'll ask the honorees to please join us for a photo at the front. And then cancel. Okay. Lots all the time. Uh-huh. And it's amazing. All right, next we'll move to public comment and advisory body reports. For public comment, and we have two folks in person here today. First, we have Ansel Torres. And as a reminder, you have 2 minutes. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Good morning. I was listening to, I believe it was the GM that was talking about a culture of safety. I'd like to add to that if you guys can start including a culture of accessibility for persons with disabilities. Now on to my main concern. The Accessibility Advisory Committee was established by the board in order to provide disabled people with input on the board. Right now, that committee is chaired by Pat Sheehan. Article 5, paragraph C, section 1, or whatever, basically says that no one is to serve on the committee for more than 12 years. And no one is supposed to be chair for more than 6 years. Mr. Sheehan has been on the committee since 1990, for 33 years. He has also been chair of the committee for 20 years, a total violation of the bylaws. I assume the WMATA board is supposed to be overseeing these matters, but I am not having any luck in getting answers from anyone at WMATA on this issue. It deeply concerns me. I live in Silver Spring, which is the same area where the chair lives. And if he were to step down, a position would be open for me so that I could take that position if I decided that I wanted that. At this point, I believe I'm being disenfranchised. I also believe that it appears that for some individuals, there is a culture of giving preference to certain individuals who speak and sing the tune of WMATA. That needs to change. I am very concerned about it. And the other thing that I'm concerned about is that the document that is supposed to provide the standards of conduct for the AAC cannot be provided to me by anyone at Metro, apparently. So maybe that explains why folks on the committee don't understand the conduct that they're supposed to show on the committee.
Thank you, Mr.
That's an
Torres.
integrity issue, and I'm very concerned, and I would like to hear from someone who can provide me those standards of conduct
Thank you.
for
We'll look,
people at the AAC.
we'll
Thank
look
you
into
very
this
much.
one.
I have submitted emails to you folks, and I just get these automated answers. Nobody is answering me. I would like to be heard, please. So if I'm overstaying my time here, is because you folks are not listening. Okay, I'll be back if this is not addressed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Denise Rush.
Good morning. I am Denise Rush, Vice Chair of the AAC Committee, Vice Chair of the Metro Access Committee, and Vice President of the National Federation of the Blind of Sligo Creek. Happy anniversary, Mr. Clark. 1 year with us. thank you for your time. You got to put in a lot of time. Yeah, you really got to put in a lot of time. We're we're going to be facing the cliff 2025, and we, well, the public needs to know what direction you want us to go to make sure we get the funds that we need, to make sure we don't step back. We've already stepped forward in many areas, and there's no way we want to step back. I'm sorry to hear that Mr. Torres is not pleased with the AAC committee. If there were 30, 40 people in here not approving of the committee, I would really be concerned. But when you have so many people to please, everybody is not going to be pleased. So I don't know how to please him. When this board in front of me started, the bylaws were different. It was a different board, but they have to deal with you. I'm not going to deal with you today. Thank you. Have a good summer, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Rush. Next, we'll hear from the Accessibility Advisory Committee. Mr. Sheehan, welcome. Please begin.
Pat, could you shift your camera just like a little bit? There you go.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, but could you turn your volume up?
Ooh.
Or put the boom of your mic closer to your mouth. There you go.
Okay. Is that better?
Perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for that. I'd like to address a few things to the committee and basically like to echo what Denise just said. Thank you very much for working with us in 2023. And we're looking forward to a very good 2024. With respect to several areas that have been addressed this morning, particularly in the area of bus, we appreciate, as we have seen over the last 4 months, that whenever we have products coming forward with the bus system, particularly as the fare card, as the fare gates, the fare machines were discussed this morning, it's something that the AAC looked at about 3 or 4 months ago, and we gave our input to the developers, and they took our input so that AAC is very pleased with the accessibility of these products. And thinking that of the different products that we have seen with respect to the buses, and particularly with respect to the bus stops, on a regular basis, individuals come to the Bus and Rail Subcommittee and give us reports on what they're doing, ask us for accessibility insights as to how they can be improved, and look to get our acceptance. That is pretty routine, and so we're not usually saying thank you to these routine reports, but it happens often with this committee, so thank you for that. As far as bus islands, or what we've talked about as floating bus stops, we are regularly giving input in that area. With respect to the rail right now, we have given input into the gangway cars. About 90% of the areas, accessibility areas that we want to give input into have been accepted. And so we are very pleased, thumbs up, particularly with Lynn Bowersox and that group who have kept us in the loop regularly. We are very interested in looking at the between car door barriers, as we've said in the past. When we get a chance to look at a mock-up, we will be very pleased to move forward with that. And as far as Metro Access is concerned, we have shifted the time to Metro Access so that the start time for the 30-minute period will be at the exact time when an individual should be picked up. Individuals are extremely pleased with the $4 fare, and we received some very good updates on the whole budget process. we're very pleased with the emphasis that's been put on people with disabilities. And lastly, I will just say that nice to be talked about in the first part of the meeting here. We are updating the bylaws. We certainly have addressed to Mr. Torres, and we certainly can answer questions to ADAP and also the board with respect to where the current minutes, where the current bylaws are. We are updating those bylaws, and you should be able to get a copy of those probably October timeframe, so that you can look at them and sign off on them. Lastly, we appreciate also the fact that you are looking to establish individuals for the AAC committee. We appreciate your support and appreciate the fact that you come to us and individuals within WMATA and staff come to us and ask for our advice and input. So thank you very much for that. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Pat. Are there any questions for the AAC?
And when I figure out how I can be in 2 meetings at one time, I will be there in September. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
let me know when you figure that out so I can do it too.
Okay, good. I'll try. Thanks for understanding. I'd rather be there than here, but I've got a couple of bosses. Yeah, and hard to please them all.
I understand that feeling. Yeah. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
I'll now call on Mr. Leibovitz for the RAC report. Thank you.
Good morning and happy summer. So the RAC, in its part of its ongoing efforts to engage in the rider transit world beyond just the RAC itself, but actually engage with other organizations. We spent the bulk of our most recent meeting in July meeting with 2 organizations. We invited guests and we had a good discussion. It was the DC Transit Equity Network, DC10, as well as several members of the AAC in their official capacity, which included Patrick and Ms. Rush, who, as always, spoke very eloquently about, about all things AAC and accessibility. And I always learned something from hearing from her, but from all of them on that. And what the goal is, as I mentioned before, is that we established the relationship. We have some output that we're going to work on offline that we're going to continue working on, and we all, which basically entails we're in the budget season, the fiscal year 25 budget season, of how the RAC and other organizations can, in a united fashion, engage with riders and and sort of the RACs, per our bylaws, provide input and recommendations to the board. And because, as we all know, a unified voice from riders is much more, I think, useful and proactive than disparate voices from all over the place that are kind of popping up. And what we also did during our meeting was everybody on the RAC, as well as some members of the AAC and DC10, we started mapping out additional organizations in the networks of each individual member of each organization, so that we can start broadening and expanding our contacts to them, so that we can even expand this kind of rider-centric network and cooperation even bigger, so that we can, again, focus on the issues that are important to the riders, which in the big picture world, as we all know, is the FY25 budget. And the last thing I'll mention is that I think the members of the 3 organizations, we all kind of bonded on the idea that, and we all came to this just independently, I'll just discuss this, is that, we hear a lot of statistics and numbers and, metrics when we're talking about, the issues regarding the budget and everything like that. But for each of those metrics and numbers and statistics, there's a real person behind it. There's thousands, millions of people behind it in the region, where everybody, and this is an area and a perspective that I think is unique to riders and individual riders, as opposed to kind of metro writ large, because riders can talk about, things. I'll give you an example. I speak to a lot of people about transit issues, and several people are looking at what's their job prospects if they're leaving their job and going to new jobs. So one of the big calculations people make is commuting, because some people who work from home actually want to go back to the office at least for several days a week, but they have to think about their commute. So even now, where it's summertime, the budget conversation, at least publicly, isn't heated up to the point where it's going to be in a few months. But people are making that calculation now. Do they want to risk taking a job, from transiting from the suburbs to the core, and they find out that the system is not going to be what it is right now? And these are all real issues that have real world implications for people now. And that's something, and then, obviously everybody else has issues of, depending on what's going on in their life, of how transit works, why they need transit, everything like that. And that goes across, areas of equity, any kind of people of all stripes. That's, these are all considerations people need to make. So that was a major part of our conversation, and I believe it's something that, again, is unique to riders, that riders can inject themselves in various ways as we kind of work through our process. And subject to any questions, Dr. Board.
I'll just say thank you for your continued work on this. We're going to need all the help, not just to get to and over said cliff, but to make the system continually improving and enhancing. Are there any questions for Mike from the board?
Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you. That includes our advisory reports. Now we're on to the chair's report. First, I'd like to take a moment to congratulate, as discussed earlier, our GM and CEO, Randy Clark, has been on the job here at WMATA for 1 year effectively this week. Randy started his Metro journey, his education and his journey on July 25th, 2022, and hit the ground running. While it's been a challenging year, Randy and the team have certainly been up to the task, as evidenced by all of Metro's great accomplishments achieved over this past year under his leadership. We congratulate you and the team, and would you like to say a few words?
I have my report later, but thank you for saying that. The only thing I would say is just a privilege and honor to have this role, and I can't say enough about this team. Try to say it every day. Best team in the business, and people. There was a quote in one of the media articles. People sacrificed a lot this year to get this system back to where we're at, and I can't say enough. Whether it's frontline staff that are cleaning vehicles in between trips and helping deliver a baby, to 7Ks, to HR helping with hiring bus operators, to opening the Silver Line, you name it. It's been a massive team effort, and the team is important because the board, you've been an amazing part of this journey this year, and I just thank you for all your guidance, your leadership, course corrections here and there, all working together. I think the more everyone is talking, they're working together, we have a big success ahead, and our success is the region's success, and I think that message is loud and clear for all of us. So thank you. It's hard to believe how fast that went.
Yeah. Thank you. Next, we have several advisory body appointments. We'll begin with the Accessibility Advisory Committee. I would like to move approval of the following reappointments of current members with terms expiring on June 30th, 2027. Tawan Farmer and Darnice Bush from the District of Columbia, and Vanessa Coles, Denise Rush, and Patrick Sheehan from the state of Maryland. Is there a second? Thank you, Dr. Lowe. This item has been moved and seconded. Are there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we'll move to the MTPD Investigations Review Panel appointments. We have 2 reappointments and 2 vacancies to fill, all with terms expiring October 2024. I'd like to move approval of the following appointments. Felipe Avila from the District of Columbia and Juan Fuller from Virginia, and the following reappointments: Sheila Williams from Maryland and Laura Liswood to the at-large seat. Is there a second? Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Lowe. This item is moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. The ayes have it. Finally, I'd like to highlight that July is Disability Pride Month. Disability Pride Month is celebrated every July and is an opportunity to honor the history achievements, experiences, and struggles of the disability community. It's also a significant identity that defines how some experience the world. Why July? Because it marks the anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, landmark legislation that broke down barriers to inclusion in society, and a reminder that we still have more work to do to fully enable all to access society and opportunity. But the barriers still exist, which is why we need to honor every kind of disability, the people who identify with them, and the wide range of support they need to thrive. This includes my report today. I'll now turn the floor over to our GM and CEO for his report.
Thank you, Chair. Well, why don't I start off and say congratulations to you, chairing your first Metro meeting. So congratulations, and I think you survived very well so far. So congratulations. But that's a pretty notable career moment. So congratulations. I'll be relatively short and sweet. Obviously, this is our last board meeting then we have August off. I should say, August off a board meeting. You know, sometimes we have to reflect on how great the Metro system, bus and rail, is here to serve everyone. Want to thank our fantastic AAC, both leadership and committee members, for all that you do. You give a lot of your own personal time, whether it's a trip to New York or committee meetings or showing up at our board meetings or just interacting with the staff. You help make us better, and it's our job to be responsive to you. Part of that responsiveness is also, we mentioned before, Teresa under her portfolio is going to have system-wide accessibility. And one of the concepts there is to take accessibility and move it up higher in the management ranks. And so we are hiring a vice president of system-wide accessibility, someone that is universally focused around accessibility holistically and Metro Access component, but also bus and rail are components, but also how our digital interfaces are a component, whether it's an e-paper sign to our website or how we do board meetings and how we're inclusive and all of those kind of components. So I believe her goal is to have VP of System-Wide Accessibility on board to go to the AAC meeting in September. And I know she's been interacting with AAC leadership on this position and some of you on the board. So I think that's an important moment for Metro, that we're hiring very specific roles at the agency at senior level to showcase that these things are really important to our core values. And so we're moving that forward. Next up, it is, I want to make sure I get the words here correctly. It is Happy National Intern Day. Yeah. So we have, I'm told, 64 interns this year. I don't know if it's the largest group, but that is a large group of interns. And we're highlighting them a lot on social media too. And what's great about that is, we are trying to not only give people an opportunity to have a summer job, if you will. We believe this is a serious pipeline to talent for our organization. As board member Ryan mentioned, this is a huge topic in our industry, is what is this pipeline? So, we have a lot of people, you'll see some different pictures out there, but a lot of in the engineering world specifically. Of course, we have across a lot of the spectrums, but how are we getting people that maybe in GW doing aerospace engineering and end up in rail vehicle engineering at the end of their academic career to join us for a career in transit? So I really appreciate how much the human capital team and our business units are leaning into this. And part of our talent plan and our strategic plan is to even think about how we can build on this across the whole enterprise and really do kind of soup to nut. If you come in the door, how are we building a career path for you with even potential offer letters? So, kind of trying to draft people early so they don't get taken by someone else in the process. So I know you're hiring in Maryland too, Chair. And we encourage them to go there too. But I think this is a great program, and really trying to show again it's a community asset. Next slide. So one of the things that we committed to, a year ago, one of my personal commitments is really focusing on two things: the customer, obviously, because I'm a customer, and many of you I've taken over 600 trips, just like a lot of our team on the system every day. But also this really trying to emphasize transparency, both how Teresa mentioned it in SMS, but also transparency with our customers. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that this year. But the ways to can improve that are things like Metro Pulse. So Metro Pulse we launched last week. It's in beta. It's a little bit like Metro Hero that was out there, and give a fair amount of credit to Metro Hero. I think they did a good job. What they really did was at one point Metro didn't have that information available for whatever reason. They decided to create a tool that was create a lot more visibility and transparency. We obviously want to build significantly on that. We want Metro Pulse not to really be about dashboards only and performance and transparency, which is great. We want to be the most interactive feedback tool that you can get in the transit space in the country. We want people to have live interactive interactions with our customer service team on things like maintenance issues, whether it's a sign on a bus that's out, to be a train or bus or station needs some cleaning or whatever. We want that interactive piece. So kind of the crowdsourcing of ownership around our system. We have hundreds of thousands of people a day use the system, and every one of them are eyes and ears. So all that means a safer system, a better maintained system, and then people feel that pride and ownership that people are actually being responded to. Obviously, it's built also on this transparency and real-time piece. Bus is already underway. We want to have that all integrated with trip planning and really drive a one-stop shop for everyone related to Metro and how you're interacting, and feel like it really means that you're going to be heard and you can actually truly understand what's happening at the whole organization. So, kudos to, this was Judd's first as Chief Digital Officer. A good throwing in the fire for Judd as he came on board to get this first beta version up and running. So thank you to the team on that one. Next one up, I thought I'd highlight ridership. Ridership is obviously what we do, right? Moving people is what our mission is. We've had a couple things I want to highlight. About 2 million trips last week on the weekday. So it's our highest since pandemic. So that's Monday to Friday, almost 2 million trips on the rail side. That's a pretty big number. We are down a little bit on the bus side right now because of obviously school's not in session. So that's a normal cyclical trend. Rail is actually staying very strong in July, stronger than some of us actually expected, which is a great sign. July 24th was the highest Monday since 2020. Last Friday was the second highest Friday. Couple stations I want to highlight. I'll add a few more on here too, but perfect timing. Board member Alcorn is here. Reston Town Center, 1100, which is the highest we've, I think, ever had at that station, which is great. New Carrollton, 4200 the other day. The IRS is there. That might show more activity at the IRS. There's also one baby, 4201. And we're not, that's not fare evasion. That's, you were already in the zone. So we're, okay, yeah. But New Carrollton's also a lot of development going around there. That could be, starting to activate some of that. A few others, Pentagon on the 18th, 8,000 at the Pentagon. On the 19th, I believe your home station, Pentagon City, was 7,800. Capital South on the 20th was 7,300. Medical Center, I think, was 3,500 the other day. So it's nice to see because it's spread throughout the region on various activity centers. So I think again, green arrows going in the right direction. Some of us want to be at 500 tomorrow and 600 the day after that. It's crawl, walk, run, but each day we run good, safe, frequent, reliable service. More and more confidence, I think, is building in the region to get back on the service. Next quick thing, I know it's already been mentioned, and the bus, Leroy, Allison, and Jeff, I think, just did a fantastic job. And I actually love that we're bringing more people to the board to be engaged with the board and showing a collaboration process, getting out of our silos and showing that that's really what we're trying to activate. Clear lanes, I just wanted to highlight. I really want to thank the mayor, DDOT, Board Member Worth. Lots of people in the district have been really amazing partners. It's a daily piece here. It's really putting this together, but I'm really excited about how much we could do with clear lanes. And it's not about the fines. It's about getting people out of the bus lanes and showing respect to people that take the bus. That's what I look about. This is about respect for people that take the bus, and the people that operate the bus. Jeff mentioned, as soon as this is over, we'd love to have, if you have an opportunity, come out and see a brand new 60-foot electric bus. Has a lot of features on board, and that's kind of a lot of the way the future of transit here at the agency. The next slide is related to a topic that hopefully in the year coming up we will talk a lot less about, because we talked a lot about it in FY23, but It's about fare evasion and our continuing efforts to manage that topic. So this is a picture from Pentagon City. I think Pentagon City might be wrapped up today. It could be off. It could be one more day. But Fort Totten was completed yesterday. Those gates are 55 inches tall. The crown on the former clamshell was, depending between the, if you will, the ADA gate and the regular gate, call around 27 inches. So we're looking almost double the height of the actual gate that was there. The average human being is not walking over this gate. But I want to be crystal clear. We are never going to prevent all fare evasion. You all on the board know that. The public's going to show videos. Like there was a video at Fort Totten where a grown man was basically crawling over these gates. There's not really anything we're going to do to stop that. So we are going to have from time to time some fare evasion, and we just got to kind of accept that people are willing to contort themselves to avoid the payment. There's only so much we can do. But between Chief Enzalo, he's been out doing a lot of surges, a lot of education, but also a lot of citations. We prefer not to issue citations. We prefer not to have arrests, but we are going to have rules at this organization, and people have to follow those rules. And these gates, I think, are going to further cut down on at least the casual fare evasion. We're already seeing people, fare evasion at Fort Totten went down again. Pentagon City, this will go down again. As we get around the system, it'll make both ends of your trip a bit an inability to fare evade, right? Versus one side until we catch up on the other side. So, but I also want to highlight our LIFT program, our low-income fare program. First time we've ever done it. We already have, I think, over 1,500 people applied for that program. We have our digital wallet initiative, which Sarah and her team, we're just waiting for some wrap-up stuff with Apple and Google. We're really going to flood the zone on our Apple, on our wallet to get more people using that. And we're also really focused on the school term coming ahead between the police department, a community team, Regina and government affairs and others, really trying to collaborate to figure out how we can get kids a little more orderly on one end, and us making sure the city has the cards and the process down as best we can. So we are working hard on this topic. I think it was the first topic this board asked me to concentrate on. I think before I actually started the job, I think we have made progress. We're going to keep working at it. So I want to give that update. And I think the last slide I have on here is Catholic University. And I use this example because President Kilpatrick Catholic University did a public safety walk the other day. Obviously, there was a pretty high profile incident that happened at Catholic University. But our team was asked, and of course, we jumped at the opportunity to be partners because obviously there's a lot of transit services for people that either work or go to school or interact with the university. And I just think this is a great slide, and it summarizes how much, and you've seen a lot of us recognizing officers, how community-centric this police department is. Whether it's the community youth advisory councils, to our partnerships with universities or school systems, enormous collaboration on a daily basis with MPD or other local jurisdictional partners. We help them solve a lot of their cases with our video system. I just really want to emphasize how much I appreciate Chief Enzalo, his team, really being community focused and trying to partner. So public safety is an issue as a country, as a region, but I do want people to know that we are taking it really serious and we are doing everything we can to partner. No one is going to solve this by themselves, but we are trying to be the best partner, and anyone that needs us to be available, we are going to be part of that process. So with that, I think that is my entire report for this month. I just want to thank the board again for all your support and leadership the last year, and thanks again to the team. I'm going to try to take a couple days off in the month of August to give them a break, and then we'll be back at it with all you in post-Labor Day.
Thank you, Randy. Are there any questions for Mr. Clark? Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say, I'm an alternate.
Over the last year, and thinking through where we were a year ago on many of these items, we've come a really long. Much of it is Metro Rail. Clearly, we were operating way below our service levels that we want to operate. We still have significant challenges to go, but you mentioned transparency and the strides we made on that. It's not just Metro Rail, but my goodness, we're in such better shape now than we were. And I really appreciate, really, you're focusing on the very important issues and making sure that those are resolved. So thank you, Randy, for being here and for your public service.
Thank you. Anything else? If not, thank you. Hopefully you have a good couple days off to relax and recharge. But we'll now move, just one. We'll now move to the Finance and Capital Committee report. I'll turn the floor over to Director Alcorn.
Thank you very much. Staff on approval of issue second reading of series 2023A, and we have two resolutions. Second, and the 2023A supplemental second lien bond resolution. So, Mr. Chairman, I move approval of both resolutions.
Is there a second? Thank you. Yep. Any discussion? No. Hearing none, I'll ask the board corporate secretary to administer the vote.
Mr. Aguirre?
Aye.
Vice Chair McAndrew?
Aye.
Vice Chair Lowe?
Aye.
Ms. Rye?
Aye.
Mr. Alcorn? Mr. Drummer?
Aye.
Ms. Worth?
Aye.
Ms. Martin Proctor?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
Perfect. Thank you. We have 4 items on the board's consent agenda today. I'd like to move approval of the following items. Arlington County Student IRIDE Program. Staff seek authorization to execute the Arlington County Student IRIDE Fare Buy-Down Program Agreement and to delegate to the GM CEO the authorization to approve future program changes. Next, the FTA discretionary grant for battery electric bus improvements. Staff is seeking approval to accept $104 million in Federal Transit Administration discretionary grant award and execute the programs in accordance with the terms and conditions of the grant agreement. Third, approval for the indemnification for access agreement at McLean Station. Staff is seeking authorization from the GM and CEO or his designee to indemnify Capital One as part of any access agreement to construct a new north entrance at the McLean Metro Station. And fourth, approval for indemnification of CSX. Staff is seeking board authorization for the GM CEO or his designee to indemnify CSX Inc. to allow Metro to enter into a construction agreement for the Bladensburg Bus Garage project. I move approval. Can I get a second?
Second.
Perfect. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Perfect. These items are approved. Next, we'll move to reports from jurisdictions. First up, for the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission, Mr. Aguirre.
I wasn't prepared to speak on NVTC, but I suppose I could give a brief comment. First of all, thank you to GM and CEO Clark for coming and not just giving a great presentation, but also being a great sport and taking almost an hour's worth of questions. We were very thorough, and Mr. Clark was also equally thorough. So really appreciate that. And, just look to our continued partnership as we're moving forward. And I don't know if Mr. Alcorn would want to add anything to that.
Yeah, actually, Randy, thank you. So you came to the NVTC meeting last month, and it was a very active discussion. I know NVTC is very focused on helping Metro with the fiscal challenges coming, on the horizon. Appreciate your doggedness on that.
Thank you. And Team Maryland here doesn't have any updates at this moment. Dr. Lowe?
Yeah, I'd just like to let everyone know that starting tomorrow and continuing on Saturday and Sunday in downtown DC, you can experience Kids World 2023. Starting at noon until 8 p.m. every day, you can do story time. There's a pop-up children's bookstore, arts and crafts and science, Candy Island, Stuff Your Own Bear, learn from kid entrepreneurs, and Spider-Man, Black Panther, and Supergirl. So make sure that you're downtown with the kids this weekend.
Know what I'm going to be doing. Next, we'll go to thanks. We'll go to the federal government. Director Rye, any updates?
Please.
The federal partners do not have any updates at this time. Thank you.
Perfect. With no further business to come before the board, we stand adjourned. As a reminder, the board recesses in August, and we'll return on September 14th for our next meeting. Thank you all for being here today.
Everybody can